Ever feel like the ground is constantly shifting under your feet in customer success? One minute you're celebrating a huge renewal that took months of work, and then the next, your manager is telling you that there's been a reorg and that your role has been impacted. AI is truly changing everything about SaaS technology and customer success and replacing the workflows that we have known for years. And guess what? Leadership is always wanting you to do more with less. And you know what? That has become the common norm in customer success. Do more with less. And the truth is, in 2026, no one is going to wait for you to catch up. And if you're not already planning for the skills, the strategy, and the shifts that are coming, you might be left behind. And in this episode, I'm handing you an exact playbook on how you need to future-proof your customer success career. Now, this is not a theory. There's no fluffy inspiration, but these are real tactical steps that you can start implementing today and be able to see the results in all of 2026. Hey friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Customer Success Pro podcast. I'm your host, Anika Zubair, and today we're talking about how to protect and elevate your customer success career in 2026 and beyond. And seeing as this is the very last episode of 2025, I wanted to be open and raw and really straightforward with you guys because the world of customer success is truly shifting. And for those of us who have been in customer success for a decade or longer, it has really transformed in the last few years. And there have been more downs than ups in the last few years of customer success. And unfortunately, there have been so many people that have reached out to me directly that have been impacted by layoffs, reorgs, acquisitions gone wrong, or just customer success teams seen as a support function rather than a growth function. And the reality is in 2026, it's just going to become tougher. But there are ways and there are strategies to really make sure that your career is on the right path. And here, take it from me, I am someone who has personally been impacted by not one, but 2 rounds of layoffs in my career. And I'm doing better than ever because of the strategies and skills that I've used to adapt as customer success has changed. And we're going to dive into tons in this podcast, but I'm going to be very specific and intentional because I want to make sure this podcast being the last one of 2025, everything I share with you here today is going to really help you level up your entire career and future-proof it as much as possible as we go into 2026. So what are we going to actually cover today? Well, we're going to cover 3 trends that are changing in customer success faster than you think and so much faster than any of us are ready for. I'm also going to share what most professionals are doing wrong when it comes to career planning and future-proofing their career. And then, of course, I'm going to give you a playbook and step-by-step guidance on how you can make sure that your role in customer success stays relevant, visible, and extremely valuable to your leadership team. So make sure you're following the podcast so you never miss a future episode. And if this one podcast episode sparks an idea for you or it gives you an aha moment, go ahead and leave a review or a comment down below. I truly appreciate every single person that takes the time to write something to me or leave a comment or rate the podcast. I really do read every single one, and it helps so many CS pros find this podcast too. So I truly appreciate your time. All right, so let's jump into the episode. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Anika Zubair, and welcome to the Customer Success Pro podcast, your go-to space for real talk, expert advice, and actionable insights in the world of customer success. I'm a CS executive leader, award-winning strategist, CS coach, and customer success fanatic. I help CSMs and CS leaders build the skills and the confidence to become revenue-driving pros and scale world-class CS teams. So whether you're brand new to CS or a seasoned leader, this podcast is here to support your growth. Because customer success isn't a destination, it's a journey. And I'm here to be your guide and navigate every step of your journey. So join me every Wednesday where you'll get fresh CS tips, tricks, and strategies you can actually use. Some weeks I'll share my own insights and best practices from working in CS over the last 13 years. And once a month, I'll bring on expert guests to dive into the most relevant and pressing topics in customer success today. So if you're ready to level up, hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in, and let's make your CS journey a little bit easier together. Okay, here is the reality. Customer success is evolving faster than most careers can actually keep up with. And not everyone is going to make the leap. I know that sounds super harsh, and you're here to probably be motivated or inspired, but we're already seeing this huge shift happen, okay? AI isn't just helping us, it's replacing us in some areas. Companies are hiring fewer and fewer people, and CS budgets are tighter than ever. Titles are flattening, and if your role is not tied to commercial value, I'm sorry to be very transparent and honest, your role is at risk. I know companies are trying to keep up with the AI world that we're living through. And I know a lot of CS pros that are listening to this podcast also feel the same. They're trying to keep up with all of the changes that are happening. But the thing is, a lot of us have to remember that all companies, whether you're big, a huge corporation, or a small startup of just 5 people, everyone is looking at revenue and commercial value. And if you're a customer success pro that's only helping a customer or only just making sure that they use the product and not actually showcasing the value of your product or not actually owning a renewal or an upsell, it's likely your role is at risk. And the biggest risk, it's thinking that doing a job is good enough. I'm sorry to say, as a millennial, and as probably a lot of you who are listening to this podcast who've lived through decades of your experience, doing just good enough is just not enough in today's job market and the reality of the world that we live in moving into 2026. It's really not, okay? Not anymore, at least. I know a lot of us started our careers where it was like, build your career at one company, pick a great logo, move up the ladder. And unfortunately, that ladder just doesn't exist anymore. The world of tech, the world of layoffs and reorgs, and also the world of AI that we're starting to be in front of, it's really shifting how careers move and how likely your role is and how relevant your role is. And in today's environment, doing your job well is just expected. AI is there to help you, and it is expected that you do your job well. What sets you apart is your ability to actually drive revenue, influence change, and adapt faster than the market shifts. And that's what this playbook is all about. And that's what this entire podcast episode is going to go into detail about as well. So let me talk about some of the mistakes that I see happen when it comes to customer success professionals and their careers and trying to future-proof it. Now, I see these mistakes happen over and over again when it comes to career development in this new era of customer success. Because if you've been in customer success longer than 2019, there was a different era of customer success, okay? That was probably the pre-pandemic era of customer success. And that era was a lot more of making sure a customer is happy, onboarded, and using the product. And then there was the era in, let's say, the pandemic era, so like 2020 to 2022. And that era of customer success, as successful as it was and as exciting as it was to be in customer success during that era of customer success was hiring nonstop, meaning growth at all costs. Customers, teams, companies, investors were just saying we need to invest in customer success. So because they were getting so much money and so much investment, teams and companies were just growing like crazy. So doing an okay job back in 2020, 2021, 2022 was good, was great because we were growing so fast and companies and teams were growing so fast that just growing and growing with the company and doing an okay job of maintaining customer happiness was, again, enough. Making sure you were checking things off a to-do list was enough. Making sure you were having a quarterly business review once a quarter with your executive stakeholders, that was enough. But thanks to AI, the last few years, especially 2024 and now into 2025, the era of AI in customer success has truly changed the way we decide to do customer success. And this new development of AI is meaning that we are having to really adapt when it comes to how we perceive our career development. Because now, thanks to AI, doing a good enough job or an okay job is just not enough. Customers are expecting even faster results or even faster emails back from you because they know there's the help of AI. They're expecting value to be delivered almost instantaneously. Almost right after onboarding is complete, a customer is looking for that value piece. And by the time a renewal comes around, a customer is no longer expecting you to only show value or showcase value in that renewal call. If they haven't seen value months in advance, by the time your renewal comes around, a customer has used AI, used technology to evaluate your competitors, and usually that customer is already checked out if they haven't seen the value. And again, a lot of these things are happening right now every single day in customer success. And we have to stay on top of it as customer success professionals because we have to make sure we are future proofing our careers. And the only way to do that is to keep up with the changing trends. But again, there are so many mistakes that I still see people make. And I want to call them out on this podcast because I want to make sure that you are aware that these things are not going to future proof your career and likely going to end up in risk for your career if you don't address them. So the first thing that I see happen time and time again is I see way too many CS professionals waiting for their companies to come up with a development plan for them. Now, if you're relying on your manager to actually help you grow, or you're waiting for them to create a career path for you to magically appear, you're already behind, okay? The most successful CS pros I know are investing in themselves. They are creating career paths for themselves. They are carving a way forward. Now, like I said at the top of this podcast, our careers are no longer linear and no longer following a traditional path of us being able to jump into a company and ensure that if we stay at that company for X number of years, that we are actually going to end up being a senior person or a senior leader. Because unfortunately, that's just not happening. Even the biggest companies out there, like Microsoft, like LinkedIn, like Meta, all of these big tech companies, they are doing layoffs annually. So even if you join a big company and say, I'm going to make sure that my manager has a clear path for me, most likely they don't. And if you're going to wait for that career path, unfortunately, you're probably just going to be part of a reorg and your role is going to be lost. But you need to really step into your own. You really need to own your own career. And like I said, the most successful people are owning their career path and they're investing in themselves. They're almost creating that growth path for themselves or co-creating it with their manager. So if you're not already owning your own career path and waiting for your company or a customer or waiting for your company or your manager to actually help you define it, you are 2 steps behind. And in the world of AI, I do not want you to be 2 steps behind. Okay, another mistake I keep seeing happen, and I know is probably happening to some of you listening to this podcast right now, is getting way too comfortable with reactive work. Now, if you're still spending most of your day putting out fires, chasing customers for feedback, or doing tasks that AI could automate, you're not actually building strategic value. You are just working in a way where AI is going to actually replace you. And the example I like to use is if you think back in the 1990s, I'm aging myself here, but if you think back to the 90s, when you went into a bank, you actually had to speak to a teller to get money out from your bank, right? You had to go speak to someone, you had to show your proof of ID, you had to basically interact with a human, and that human then validated that it's really who you say you are, and then they give you the cash or whatever money you're asking from your bank account. Now, that changed dramatically when we had a thing called an ATM, right? So we now have a way where we interact not with a human, but with a computer to basically get money out or get cash out. And for those of us who are like, I don't even carry cash because I don't carry cash, we now just have our phones that we tap everywhere and we use Apple Pay or we use some sort of contactless payment because, again, the world evolved, right? Technology evolved when it came to our daily tasks of banking or using our money. And that's exactly what's happening in customer success right now, right? We are evolving so quickly, and AI is doing so many manual tasks. AI is sending automated emails to your customers asking for feedback. They're identifying just all the fires and putting out the fires. And if you're spending all your time doing all of this reactive work that can do for you, again, your role is probably at risk and you're not actually building strategic value. Now, I see AI as a huge tool. It's a huge unlock. Now, I wish I had AI when I was a CSM, but here's the thing. If you're a CS pro today and not using AI, please start using it. But more importantly, use AI to basically automate. Use it as a tool to take away your busy work, to take away analysis of product usage or likelihood of churn, or even building a forecast for renewal. AI can be doing all of that. Instead, you need to be focusing on building your strategic value, on working on your human skills, like your communication skills, your ability to influence executive stakeholders. All of those things AI can't do. AI can do a lot of the busy work that we're doing in customer success, but it cannot build strategic value, and that is where you need to focus. Now, the third thing that I have seen happen time and time again all throughout 2025 is I see a lot of CS pros not connecting their work to revenue. Now, part of this is because we've become a little bit lazy in customer success. Yep, I've said it, we are a bit lazy. And part of it is a lot of you aren't still seeing that you are the revenue leader in your company. Now, I just want to call out, if you can't show how you influence retention or influence an upsell or expansion or growth, you're always going to be seen as a nice to have role and not a business critical role. Now, this applies to roles outside of customer success in technology as well. So I think that this applies to anyone from a product manager to an engineer to someone in finance to someone in customer success or in marketing. If you're not able to actually tie your role and the work you do to some level of growth within your company, your role is always going to be at risk. But the good thing is in customer success, we are truly the revenue leaders within a company. Now, a lot of people think working in customer success is not working in sales, and I completely agree. But sales and revenue are not mutually exclusive parts of the business. Yes, of course, sales does influence a lot of revenue, but so does customer success. Every single time that you have a conversation with your customer about a renewal, about the potential upsell, about new ways of using your product and service, that is revenue influence. And a lot of times, CS professionals do not actually tie their work to revenue. What they do tie their work to is tasks. For example, I had X number of calls with a customer this month, or I delivered 3 business reviews this quarter, or I was able to onboard 20 customers. Here's the thing. In the new world of SaaS technology that we're stepping into, in the AI-driven world, tasks can be done by AI, right? tasks are no longer something that a human needs to do. And I know that might be like a aha moment for some, but it will happen. Just like I said about the bank teller and ATM, it's going to happen. A lot of roles are going to be replaced by AI, and only the business critical roles that are strategic thinking and the ability to influence revenue are really going to shine in 2026 and beyond. And if you're only focusing on tasks into 2026, I'm sorry to say that's just not going to cut it anymore. So let's talk about how we're going to fix all of this. So here is my playbook on how to actually future proof your customer success career as we move into the new year. The first tip I have is to become revenue fluent. Now, I know revenue or money or just even the talk of revenue sounds super intimidating to a lot of customer success professionals, especially if you've never had to do it before. Now, let me just say, revenue is the language of business. And if you work at a company, you need to learn how to speak the language of business, okay? Revenue cost, revenue impact, all of those things are extremely important in every business. And you need to start asking yourself daily, how is what I'm doing today actually helping my company make money or save money? Because that is a question you should be really tailoring to all of the tasks that you're doing. If the things you're doing day in and day out isn't actually helping your company make some money or save some money, I'm sorry to say that's probably really tricky or a really tough spot for you to be in. And if you don't know, ask someone who does. If you don't understand the language of revenue or the language of revenue cost or revenue impact within the business, you need to ask for help. And please do not be ashamed to ask for help. I am just trying to make sure we future proof your career. Feel free to message me on LinkedIn if you need that help too. But if you aren't speaking that revenue language, you need to learn quickly. So feel free to ask somebody for help or use every interaction that you have to practice that lens. So whether you're prepping for a business review or you're just writing a follow-up email, anchor it in business outcomes. Remember to start talking about business outcomes and revenue impact because that's really what's going to set you apart in 2026. Quick pause. If this episode sparks something for you, then this is your sign. You are ready for more. And because this is the final episode of the year, I want to leave you with a few resources to really help you level up in 2026 and make you feel more confident in your role in customer success and really start the new year with clarity. So, if you are really feeling like you need that extra bit of help, you can grab my AI Playbook for CS Pros or my customer success accomplishment tracker, and both will totally help you level up. My AI guide will help you turn your daily tasks into really something super easy to manage and will train AI to be your co-pilot to save hours in your week. And then you can also download my CS accomplishment tracker. And this is the tool that I use to help get my promotions and move from CSM to VP of customer success in less than 7 years. It's a tool that helps you document all of your wins, quantify all of your impact, and walk into a promotion conversation fully prepared. So, with the new year right around the corner, I want to make sure you're prepared to be the best version of you. And that's why these tools are available to you. So just go ahead and go to thecustomersuccesspro.com/resources. That's thecustomersuccesspro.com/resources to download your guides now. All right, let's get back into the episode. So my second tip that I have for you as you start to future-proof your future career in customer success is build out your personal operating system, okay? Again, this is one of those things that you don't want to wait for your company's training. I want you to build your own toolkit. Because let me remind you that your career is exactly that. It's your career. It's not your company's career. It's not your company's job. It's your job and your career. So I need you to build out your own toolkit for success. So, first of all, I want you to start weekly time blocking to prioritize strategic work. Again, I know this is easier said than done, especially because we jump from call to call, meeting to meeting, customer meeting to product meeting to sales meeting. I know. Trust me. I have had a crazy calendar as well. And I know you're all juggling calendars. But the thing is, if you don't weekly time block to actually prioritize how to think and work strategically, you're never going to do it. The next thing I need you to do is, in order to give yourself time to really be strategic and think through things, I need you to create some AI prompts to automate some of your routines, okay? Again, just start talking to AI. That's literally how I started using it. And then I became more and more proficient in it. But start to make prompts that actually help free up your time, especially when it comes to tasks that you're doing 2, 3, 4 times a day or even a week. And I need you to also start to build out your own templates. Again, your boss or manager or chief customer officer might also have templates for you to reuse across multiple accounts, but you know your accounts best. And I need you to reuse these across multiple accounts. So I need you to create templates that work for you, okay? Because again, it's your career, your job, your success, and you need to be able to create your own templates. And the last thing I'm going to say that you need to make sure you build out is some sort of system to track your wins and impacts. Again, make sure you're tying all of the work that you're doing back to the business revenue. And that could be either revenue made, so you've helped grow revenue within the company, or again, revenue saved. So if you've saved some accounts or been able to win back churned accounts, any of that work is money saved for your company as well. And I want you to start tracking it, okay? And I just want to remind you that you are your most important project. So all of these little tasks, all of these little things I'm saying for you to do, it is really just you building up your future career for success. And I promise you that your future self will thank you once you actually set up these systems and this personal operating system to really see yourself succeed. Because what's great about setting all of this up for yourself is, as we know, our careers aren't at one company. So as you build out this personal operating system, the beauty is it's yours. It's something you've built for yourself. So when you decide to move to the next company, or maybe unfortunately, if you do go through a layoff, you have all of that work that you've built out because it's your operating system. It's not your company's, it's yours. So it's something that you can really invest in and remind yourself that you are your most important project, and it's something that you can take with you as your career develops. Okay, another tip I want to call out is that you need to train AI to work for you and not replace you. I've talked to a lot of CS pros, and a lot of people are intimidated that AI is going to replace our roles. AI is going to replace your role if you do not know how to train it to work for you. I need you to see AI as your personal assistant, as someone that you hire to work for you. So if you're still scared of AI taking your job, I need you to flip the script, okay? Today's the day. I need you to stop thinking that. I need to remind you that AI is not going to take your job. AI is going to help you level up and become a better version of a customer success pro because you've used it to level up and you've used it to work for you instead of replacing you. So instead of resisting it, I need you to train it to become your co-pilot, okay? You can use AI to draft success plans, prep for business reviews, uncover renewal risks, brainstorm account growth ideas, but only if You teach it your customer goals, your customer value stories, your communication style. And yes, by the way, I do have a full guide for this, and I'll share more info about this down in the show notes of this podcast. But it is so important that you start training AI as your co-pilot, okay? You're the customer success pro, that's the pilot here, but please use AI as your co-pilot so that it can help you level up instead of work against you. Okay, the next step in making sure that you future-proof your career is basically creating your brag book or your brag list, okay? I need you to track your brag and your impacts, okay? And there's two reasons for this. There's two main reasons. I did this all throughout my career. The first reason I created a accomplishment tracker and brag list is because I wanted a promotion. And the only way I can show all my value as a customer success professional to my manager was I listed it out week on week, month on month. I basically listed out my revenue impact and the impact my role had within the business. And the second reason I need you to build this list out for yourself is because, as we know, our careers do not live and die at one company. I don't know anyone anymore who has spent 20, 30, 40 years at one company. Most likely in tech, you are spending a maximum of 5 years at a company. But reality check, we're probably spending about 18 months to 36 months at one company. So that means about a year and a half to max 2.5 years that we are spending at one given company. So when you start to build your brag list or, again, your accomplishment tracker, what I love using this for and what I love telling my coachees and everyone I work with is you are basically writing your CV every single week that you're at work. So it is basically saying that you're not just doing great work, but you're documenting it, you're showing it, you're pitching it. And the easiest time to do that is while you're doing it. So start to track all of the retention dollars that you're saving, or all of the expansion opportunities that you're creating, or maybe all the risk mitigation that you've influenced. Start tracking all of this. The easiest way to do it is week on week. And of course, I have my own customer success accomplishment tracker, which again, I will link down in the show notes. But use whatever works for you. From a spreadsheet to Notion, I want you to start to track it all. And then I want you to package it into a promotion-ready statement and brag lines. And the reason I want you to package it up this way is, one, I want you to be super confident the next time you have to go into a promotion conversation. But two, as you go into interviews and as you think about your next career move or the next company or anything you want to do next in your career, I want you to almost have those lines ready so you can start bragging about all of the revenue influence that you have had in your career thus far. And if you start documenting all of this, I'm telling you right now, writing your CV will never be difficult. You'll never forget your wins again, and your manager will never miss your impact because you have written down your brag list. Okay, my final tip on making sure you future-proof your career is I need you to start acting like the next level version of you, okay? Do you want to be a senior CSM? Then start thinking like one. Do you want to become a VP? Then start presenting like one. Every decision, every email, every customer call, I want you to start asking yourself, what would I do if I was in the next level version of me? How would I handle this? This mindset shift is what separates people who are just stuck from the ones who actually skyrocket in their career. Because let me tell you, every step of my career, I've never felt comfortable. I've never, ever acted like I was just a CSM. I knew I wanted to be a senior CSM, so I started to speak like one. I started to sit next to the senior people in the office and listen to exactly how they were talking to customers, and I started saying those exact lines that they said. And when I wanted to move into leadership, I started sitting next to the C-suite, or I started joining calls with them or asking them to join my calls. And every single thing they did, I started to mimic it in my own way because I knew I wanted that seat. I knew I wanted to level up. I knew I wanted that executive title. And the only way to progress in your career in 2026 is really being able to make sure you are living in the role you want to be in. Because again, doing just your role is not going to future proof your career. Doing just your role is not going to future proof your career. You're going to have to level up and almost do the next roll up to really see your career skyrocket. So, I want to share something personal with you. Back in 2018, I was working in customer success leadership, and my role was director of CS at a startup. And on the surface, things were really, really great. I had a very solid team. The customers were more or less happy, and my metrics were pretty good, I would say. But I'll never forget the time when my CFO asked me, "How much revenue did your team drive this quarter?" And I didn't have an answer. I froze. And ever since that day, it was like my harsh wake up call where I realized it wasn't enough to be quote unquote good as a CS leader. I had to become a commercial one. I had to start thinking like a go to market leader, not just a customer advocate. So I rebuilt everything: success plans, business reviews, decks, team KPIs, all with revenue impact in mind. Every week during my team weekly meetings, I would go over our NRR and GRR numbers, and I would start really showcasing the revenue gap that we had and the revenue that we had already filled. I truly started talking like a commercial leader, not only in meetings and not only with my fellow leaders within the business, but with my team. Because the more I helped my team understand the revenue impact that we had and the revenue ownership that we had to level up to fill, they suddenly became comfortable with the idea that our roles in customer success needed to have a revenue impact and needed to influence revenue. And working in this way and making this huge shift, it was crazy because I saw my career completely change, okay? At that company, we drove record NRR and we also helped expansions tremendously. It was some of the biggest milestones in my career for my team and, of course, for myself. Like, I got promoted faster than I expected. I was invited to board meetings. I started to actually become a part of the executive leadership group because I started speaking the language of revenue and I started really understanding how my team influenced and closed revenue. Now, I know some of you listening to this podcast are probably saying, "Oh, well, we only do renewals, not upsells," or "We only actually hand off all renewals and upsells to the sales team." That's okay, by the way. You still influence revenue, and it's really important to start tracking how much revenue either you have direct influence over, so you've closed an upsell or closed a renewal, or again, how much influence you've had. So maybe you've created enough opportunity for the sales team to go close, or maybe you've shown enough value to a customer so that the renewal becomes a non-event for the AE that is actually going to close that renewal. A lot of times CSMs feel, or CS professionals feel, that they don't actually have revenue ownership, but you do. All of the work you're doing day in and day out, the value calls, the business reviews, the onboarding calls, the success plans, all of that is revenue influence. But the problem we have is we're not actually bundling it and showing it to our leadership team as revenue influence. So if there's one thing that you take away from this episode, it's this: please don't wait for someone to ask you about your value, okay? Start tracking it, start owning it, and start showing it now. Your challenge this week is super, super simple, okay? I need you to audit your calendar. Go through last week and label each task or meeting as either strategic, so that meeting was revenue driving, relationship building, something that you're doing to be truly strategic, or a reactive meeting. So it's task oriented, it's low impact, it's admin, okay? And then I need you to ask yourself, once you've done this audit, how can I move just one more hour this week from reactive to strategic? Even a 1% shift will compound over time. And if you need help making that shift, I've got tools, I've got templates, and I've got trainings to help you along the way. But if this episode actually lit a fire under you, amazing, because customer success is changing faster than any of us can keep up with. And in 2026, we need to future-proof you and your career. So if it's lit a fire under you, that's amazing because that means you're ready for the next step. And if you want to take that next step and work a little bit deeper past this podcast episode, don't forget to check out my AI Playbook for Customer Success Pros or my Customer Success Accomplishment Tracker to make sure that you showcase all of your impact and wins to make sure you secure that promotion. Then make sure you go and check out these guides, and I will link them down in the show notes below, or check out the customersuccesspro.com/resources. And of course, make sure you go ahead and follow me on LinkedIn for weekly tips on how to build a revenue generating and revenue driving CS career. Now, 2026 is just around the corner, and I want you to own it because I know you can. But it's only if you start preparing now. And as this episode is the last episode before the new year, I will see you in 2026 on the Customer Success Pro podcast. And I just want to wish you all a very happy, healthy, and safe holiday season. And if you're looking for more content to listen to until the next episode goes live, don't worry, there have been 45 episodes from earlier this year, so go ahead and check those out. Or, of course, go and check out the blog or the newsletter because, of course, there's tons of content out there. So until 2026, I want you to stay bold. I want you to stay curious, and I want you to never wait for permission to grow because a reminder, it is your career and you have total ownership over this. And I just know that you're going to excel in 2026. So again, I just want to say thank you to all of you for tuning in to the Customer Success Pro podcast this year. I love every comment, every rating, and I just love that all of you love listening to this show. So thank you so, so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you, and I cannot wait to be with you in 2026. So that's all for now, and that's all for this year, and I'll catch you in 2026. Thanks for tuning in to the Customer Success Pro podcast. I hope you picked up something valuable to take back to your team. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took just 10 seconds to leave a review on Apple or Spotify. It helps more CS pros like yourself discover the show. And creating new episodes takes a lot of work, so leaving a nice review keeps me motivated to keep creating. And don't forget to hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcast episodes. I drop a new episode every Wednesday packed with practical tips. And if you've got a topic you'd love for me to cover or want to be a guest on my show, send me a message. All the details are in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. And hey, if this episode helped you, share it with a fellow CSM or CS leader. Remember, sharing is caring. Cheers to your CS journey, and I'll catch you next week for our next episode.